What a difference a year makes, from playoff disappointment with a COVID-reduced crowd to setting crowd records in the playoff semi-final and then basically owning Wembley. So, let's go back a year to the summer of 2021 and take a look at how our fourth year in League One went.
And once again it's Tom Hopper, who's on target for Lincoln. Dangerous one into the box.
In June 2021, we lost in the playoffs to Lincoln City, and subsequently our squad was hollowed out with our top 4 goal scorers all departing in the closed season. Grant Ledbetter was released, Chris Maguire was released and joined Lincoln City. White, who'd hit 26 goals and made the PFA League One Team of the Year and seemed crucial to our survival, left us for Wigan, as did captain Max Power. Pretty soon it became clear that the new owner, Kirill Louis-Dreyfus, was taking the club in a new direction. 30-year-old holding midfielder Corey Evans was signed on a 2-year deal, having been released by Blackburn. 18-year-old centre-half Callum Doyle was loaned from Man City. 20-year-old fullback Niall Huggins was signed from Leeds on a 4-year contract. 20-year-old winger and forward Leon Djaku was loaned from German side Union Berlin. 23-year-old striker Nathan Broadhead was loaned from Everton. 21-year-old centre-half Frederick Alvarez loaned from West Ham. 19-year-old Dennis Sirkin was signed from Tottenham for fullback. And 28-year-old attacking midfielder Alex Pritchard was signed on a 2-year deal, having been released from Huddersfield. It's fair to say that all this represented a dramatic change from experienced core players to a gamble on youth and skill in an effort to get out of the league. Although apprehensive, people could see that if we did get promoted, we wouldn't be constrained by a squad under contract for years with little space to sign improvements. But for some, it represented quite a risk. Then Wigan rolled into town and 31,000 turned up to see our first game of the season. Callum Doyle and Corey Evans made their debuts as Sunderland's top 2 scorers from the previous season lined up for the opposition.
To the edge of the area, it sits up nicely off the post, but then into the net.
Despite going a little down, it was Sunderland who ran out the easy winners in the end, with Ross Stewart being awarded a penalty.
Challenge comes in, it's a clumsy challenge. Eden McGeady. Up he steps, and Sunderland are level in no time at all. Sunderland is that.
And then converting an Embleton corner.
Still, but a header here.
Later on, Lynn and Gooch smashed the upright, and overall,
if we'd have sort of scored 3 and 4, that wouldn't have been unfair.
The League Cup first round against Port Vale followed a few days later, and a much-changed side saw debuts for Ellis Taylor in his only appearance, Alex Pritchard here setting up the goal, and Josh Hawkes, recently signed from Hartlepool, who put it in the back of the net. This was to be Hawkes' only goal for the club before being loaned out to Tranmere Rovers in early September. A few days later, Dennis Sirkin arrived from Spurs and made his debut in a tight game away to MK Dons. We won again after witnessing the collector's item of Lyndon Gooch being the designated penalty taker, McGeady having been substituted late in the game. Needless to say, I don't think this role would be bestowed on him again anytime soon. Having started against 2 tough league opponents with wins, it was a little surprising to lose next to Burton Albion against the run of play to their only shot on goal all game. But 2 wins over Wimbledon and the recently relegated from the Championship Wycombe Wanderers closed out a very promising first month of the campaign. Goalkeeper Torben Hoffmann's arrival on loan from Bayern Munich on the last day of August meant that Patterson was deemed surplus to requirements and sent out on loan to Notts County. Hang in there, lad, you'll get your chance. The month began with Denver Hume being given a new deal, having spent most of the summer imagining he was better than he is and expecting a better deal. In this case, the only one getting a better deal would be Sunderland when Hume moved on in January for a fee of £200,000. Leon Djaku's arrival at the end of August meant that Jack Diamond was now considered surplus to requirements, and he went out on loan to Harrogate Town. Again. On September the 11th, Sunderland hosted Accrington Stanley, who had won 4 of their previous 5 league games. It would be a close game, with lots of chances for both sides.
Comes in huge deflection towards the back post, dead piece. It's whipped in, it's a dangerous delivery. Trafford beats it down and not away. Careless defending, and it just half opens the door here perhaps. Still the chance alive, and it's headed away. Do it again. Sunderland in the ascendancy, seeking a third that they may well get now. Here's Stewart looking to go around James Trafford. The cross comes in, headed away.
Dan Neil opened the scoring with his first ever senior goal, a lovely left foot strike.
To shoot, it's exactly what he does. Over the set
Hoffman made his debut today as well and was, well...
Started to drift back, the header towards the back post and a chance here. And Sunderland somehow...
less than inspired, but hey, first game and all.
Fighting, dangerous delivery. It's played in and Nottingham meets it.
Prior to kick-off, Sunderland promoted the mental health awareness campaign by donning Be a Game Changer t-shirts. Carl Winchester, it seems, took the message to heart and was inspired to believe he'd become Roberto Carlos for the afternoon, attacking goal with some outrageous strikes.
There's an opportunity to strike here though, and it's not too far away. And knocked forwards and Stewart's on the charge. Trafford came off his line quickly. Opportunity to perhaps shoot here with him a long way from his goal. Bounces. Ready this afternoon.
Obviously, it was Carl Winchester who broke the deadlock with a winner on the hour mark, putting us top of the table by 2 clear points.
Roll it in here, Winchester, he makes it too!
And making this Sunderland's best ever start to a campaign in 96 years. Next game we visited Fleetwood Town for our first away fixture since our inexplicable loss to Burton Albion. We started well enough with another Stewart header at the near post and a second half McGeady penalty, putting us 2-0 up with only 14 minutes to play.
And it's a beautiful penalty, steered into the bottom corner.
It all looked like business as usual, until Bailey Wright, making his first league start of the season, stepped out of the defensive line, leaving space for Fleetwood to score behind him.
It's a lovely looking ball, it was Lane, and that's Morton. And that...
Then a 97th minute penalty, yes, 97th minute penalty, for handball in the box meant we slipped off the top spot with a draw.
Scored at Rotherham, can he do it again? He has!
Mid-September saw news that Grant Leadbitter had retired, having been released back in August. He'd been a stalwart of the club in his first period with us under Roy Keane. Perhaps one of the most memorable moments of Leadbitter's time at the club was scoring a blistering goal at the Stadium of Light against Arsenal in 2008 and running over to kiss the touchline where his father's ashes had been buried only 2 weeks earlier. God bless you, Grant, and thank you for your service. Carl Winchester's excellent form continued at the home game to Bolton next, with a tap-in after a quarter of an hour. Quite what our fullback is doing in the opposition's 6-yard box, I don't know, but go him. That's his 3rd league goal in 5 games. The last game of the month saw us batter Cheltenham Town 5-0 at home, with the first goal for Leon Jaku off the bench and a brace for Ross Stewart, who's proven to be quite the goal threat. It meant that we regained the top spot 2 clear of Wigan.
Capitalising on the moment. Clearance was poor. The Germans' finish was precise.
It was perhaps no surprise to see Carl Winchester end September nominated for the Sky Bet Player of the Month. The end of the month also saw us receive news that Sunderland legend Len Ashurst had died aged 82. Ashurst has the 2nd most appearances for Sunderland behind Jimmy Montgomery with 452. Nicknamed Lenny the Lion, he debuted for Sunderland as a 19-year-old in 1958 and played much of his career alongside Charlie Hurley in one of the most settled backlines in English football history. You can see him here in the number 3 shirt in his staple left-back position in Sunderland's 3-1 win against Everton at Roker Park in the 5th round of the FA Cup in 1964. He returned in later years to manage Sunderland in 1984 and saved us from top-flight relegation, leading us to the League Cup final the next year against Norwich, but it wasn't to be. There's much to say about Len. He deserves a video of his own, so perhaps we'll leave it there and say, rest in peace, Lenny. We remember you. As October opened, Sunderland sat top of the league with only 1 loss. But an unexpected hammering in the torrential rain at Portsmouth brought apologies from Lee Johnson for a weak performance.
Well, I think first of all, I'm so sorry to the fans. Unbelievable following. You know, when they travel as far as they did and we put on a first half show like that, I can only apologise.
Johnson's comments focused on us being poor going forward and poor in possession, missing the actual reason for the loss, that we were poor in defence. Perhaps Johnson needed to focus more on this aspect of Sunderland's play rather than going forwards.
It's built into our philosophy that we can play balls down the sides, you know, and effectively that this game is what that required, you know, quality balls find the spare player and slide it up the sides, and then we got willing runners to go and get it. But for whatever reason, we didn't articulate that on the pitch.
Some passed off the loss as an aberration, but in truth, we were bullied out of this match and were second to everything and pushed off the rest. Watch the first goal here and note that no Portsmouth player is challenged for possession at all. In fact, no one gets near any of them. It's all too easy. Contrast that with Portsmouth's second goal, where they hassle and harry us off the ball. We're all over the place, giving them another free goal 8 yards out, and that's not the only person free in the box. Third goal, 8 versus 5, and from a poor free kick that frankly should never, ever get past the first man, we concede again. Fourth goal, 5 in the box against one attacking player, who all too easily bullies his way to be first to the ball again. That aside, none of our other defenders moves to cover a possible second ball here. Yes, I was annoyed at this loss. Similar losses to more physical teams would follow as the season progressed. A much-needed 2-week break presented itself with 2 EFL trophy games, which saw Johnson field almost entirely under 21 players and rest the main squad after the Portsmouth defeat. And it was pleasing to see some youth players come through that were good enough to beat Manchester United's under 21s. A return to league action mid-month away to Gillingham saw a scrappy 2-1 win, and Elliot Embleton celebrating his new 3-year contract penned midweek by getting sent off just over the hour mark. The win did little to restore confidence in an unsure defence, but now fourth and a point off top, the fact that we had allowed a relegation-threatened side 25 shots on goal was largely ignored. Similarly, a 4-0 thumping of Crewe 3 days later hid the fact that we had allowed the team struggling to stay off the bottom of the table more possession, more shots and more corners than us. There were warning signs underneath the scorelines that were being ignored.
Decision to allow play to continue. A moment here.
The next game saw a fractious loss to Charlton Athletic with a clearly frustrated Lee Johnson booked.
Card comes out.
And 09 lucky not to be.
Who's been posing problems down that right-hand side all afternoon, who created it, when in fact it was 09 who reached out with his hand.
With defeat went our 100% home record. However, a midweek win over QPR saw Sunderland's Carabao League Cup run continue through a combination of luck.
Chair's ball is cut out.
Lee Burge.
Makai's delivery. Glanced away. Barbe.
And linesman.
Trouble here for Sunderland potentially. It's a brilliant stop. Followed up though by Adoma, and big celebrations, although they won't last very long. QPR thought this was the winner. So did half of the Kyan Prince Stadium, but this one will not count. As the ball comes in, just have a look here. Oh, it's given us offside.
It went to penalties where we proved much more effective.
Now has a chance here. Austin sees his penalty saved by Lee Burge.
Now, at this point in the season, McGeady's had 2 penalties and struck them both bottom left. So if you're the keeper and you've done your homework, you know which way to go.
McGeady.
Class, that.
Makes it look easy, turns. Ilias Chair with the top scorer, Ross Stewart, Lyndon Dykes. Here is Pritchard. Barbe.
Sunderland ran out the winners with a quarter-final draw away to Arsenal to look forward to. And, on the surface, we'd only suffered one rain-soaked loss in the last 3 games. So in general, the mood remained relatively high.
Carabao Cup continues. They are into the quarter-finals, meeting championship opposition. It finishes 0-0 here, but Sunderland wins 3-1 on penalties.
But it didn't last. As October closed, we suffered a chastening defeat away to Rotherham, which brought out the wrath of fans now worried about our inconsistency. McGeady was sent off for a second bookable offence at 3-0, and it just got worse. Defeat at Rotherham saw us slip to 5th, 5 points off top when we had been top and 2 points clear only a month ago. Sunderland doubled down on the misery in the very next game by being thrashed away to Sheffield Wednesday. Some say that the score didn't reflect the performance.
I feel like tonight, without sounding delusional, it was better.
Others knew what the problem was.
What is it you think, and can you put your finger on at the moment as to what is going wrong?
Firstly, I think we're conceding soft goals.
Look at this first goal. Gooch, bottom left, checks where his man is here twice, then forgets about him and stands still. As he watches play develop, he suddenly realises that his man is 40 yards away. Bang. Easy goal. And the second goal, just poor defending. Look at Sirkin here, top right. He's going to get left with 2 people to mark. Who's in charge here? Who's talking? Sirkin obviously can't stop the goal, and Doyle ends up marking no one, and the players seem completely unaware of what went wrong. Recent results now showed: played 5, won 0, drawn 1, lost 4, conceding 11 goals in 5 games. Back-to-back hammerings left fans with little to be hopeful about as promotion dreams looked like slipping away. Teams who get thumped 3-0, 4-0 and 5-1 don't get promoted at the end of the season. It was clear to everyone that the next league fixture to Ipswich was crucial to Johnson's survival. By way of preparation for that game, we capitulated in the first round of the FA Cup to lower league Mansfield, despite playing a full-strength side, meaning we had now also recorded back-to-back home losses. 3 days later, a mixed team fared little better, losing to Bradford City in the EFL Trophy on penalties. But how cool is this one from Luke 09? And Lyndon, lad, that's 2 from 2 you've missed now. Are we agreed that you won't take any more? With 2 weeks rest since the FA Cup exit, all eyes were now on the league visit of Ipswich on the 20th of November. And a familiar face was on the Ipswich staff. Having been appointed a month previously to help out with coaching, Peter Reid was now visiting again, but for the opposition.
Strip now, Lily. Peter.
Hey, that was uncalled for. A tense game dominated by Ipswich saw Sunderland score twice late on to relieve palpable pressure and move us back into the playoff spots. Johnson knew he had escaped the axe and declared the coming run of games as crucial to get back on a winning run and start looking up the table. Efforts began with a tame performance that saw a 10-man Shrewsbury equalise in another chaotic defence. But that was followed by a 2-1 win over Cambridge United. Now, Pritchard has scored some good goals this season, but they won't come any better than this corner, despite it being credited to the keeper. We actually looked good today, and the win came through a superb strike from Nathan Broadhead. As the injuries started to stack up, McGeady, O'Nien and Sirkin all out until the new year now, it was good to put a miserable and damaging November behind us. Somehow we began the month only 3 points off top, and first up was an EFL trophy fixture against lower league Oldham Athletic, and an anniversary. The same fixture to the same opposition had marked Lee Johnson's first proper game in charge almost a year ago. But there's not much to read into this loss, as Johnson had no real interest in winning the trophy again, and I think we all agreed with his outlook.
A couple from me really, Lee. First of all, do you slightly regret in any way playing a lot of the youngsters in the cup match the other night, or not? Is it?
But this year and this season we made a conscious decision to try and blood through as many young players as possible, and the first team players that have played in those games have been the ones that needed to catch up on minutes, and I think it's worked well.
Much more important was a home fixture 3 days later to promotion rivals Oxford United. This was the first time the teams had met since a bruising encounter, accusations of headbutts in the tunnel, and Robinson being sent to the stands only the previous April. Johnson named the same team that had impressed at Cambridge a week earlier, and they impressed again. But for the woodwork, Sunderland looked like the only team winning this. As it happened, the score ran out 1-1, and there were boos that uncharacteristically irritated Lee Johnson.
Away by Sykes, and Oxford United celebrate. Second half played out. Sunderland, the far more dominant side and having the far better chances.
But the squad was rightly upbeat after the game, and Carl Winchester was confident in predicting.
I think we're going to put team to the sword.
And sure enough, the very next game, we put Morecambe to the sword by shoving 5 goals past them. Dijaku scoring his 4th of the season and scoring for the second game in a row. His good form continued into the next game against Plymouth, with driving runs down the right, where he was unlucky not to score. And setting up this beauty for Nathan Broadhead. There were more sweet moments in the game, like this well-worked corner, and overall we dominated against a side that had topped the table only 10 days earlier. Next, we headed for the return fixture at Ipswich. No, that's not Alex Pritchard, but it is Carlos Edwards, who was at the game, having played for both Sunderland and Ipswich. Edwards, of course, scored one of the greatest ever goals at the Stadium of Light, and how can we miss the opportunity to see that again?
It's Carlos Edwards. Edwards goes for the spectacular and finds it and then some. That is a goal of so much significance and so much beauty. Sunderland lead Burnley 3-2, and their march to the Premiership is back on track.
He still plays, last year turning out over 30 times for semi-pro Isthmian League Bury Town. In the end, today, some skillful play earned us a draw against Ipswich. Lovely Megs under pressure from Dan Neil there. Look at Broadhead, who just comes into shot bottom right here. He checks to see where the space is going to be, and it's a smart run and finish. He just makes it look easy. The win saw us move only 2 points off second on a run of 7 undefeated as we prepared to go to Arsenal for the League Cup quarter-final. Despite the punishing final scoreline, we looked good for the first half hour of this game. But once Broadhead went off injured, we had nothing left. We signed off the year in style by beating bottom side Doncaster Rovers 3-0. Well done, Lee. At least you noticed him. The last game of 2020 was a 5-0 revenge demolition of Sheffield Wednesday, which saw a first senior football goal for Callum Doyle, who really couldn't believe that he had actually scored.
And surely that is in, it is! Callum Doyle this time, and it's 3-0, 5 minutes before the break.
Having not scored in open play for 9 games, Ross Stewart decided today was the day for a perfect hat-trick.
Again, they're looking confident mood here. The ball around the corner for Stewart, 2-0! Another for Ross Stewart. From Gooch, this is good from Sunderland. Decent cross. It's towards Stewart, who's done it. The perfect hat-trick inside an hour.
What better way to sign off the year?
Yeah, really good performance.
14 points from 18 and a huge 17-3 goal difference saw Lee Johnson collect his second Sky Bet League One Manager of the Month award. Alex Pritchard was nominated for Player of the Month as well. As the new year dawned, we were top of the table, and no one could have predicted within a month Sunderland's season would be upended and everything would be in the balance. January opened with the manager pressing on with fixtures despite having the ability to postpone games through COVID and a growing injury list. Either way, the signing of highly rated young fullback Trey Hume was a welcome start to the month. With prospect of game time reduced, Will Harris went the other way on loan to League Two Barrow. In need of cover, Sunderland recalled their loans of Patterson, Diamond and Hawks on the 7th of January, and we went into our first game of the new year full of confidence on the TV against Wycombe Wanderers.
The ball around slickly here, Stewart to Sirkin, the Tottenham loanee, Dennis Sirkin, excellent cross, Stewart header, and a goal for Sunderland inside 3 minutes. Pritchard really beginning to get on the ball now. Alex Pritchard stings the hands of Stockdale and Stewart. Oh, what a clearance! Brilliant defending by Jacobson. Hanlon couldn't get it under his spell. This is Gooch. A lucky break here for Embleton. Stewart to his right. Still with Embleton. Oh, he's so unlucky. Back off the face of the crossbar, Elliot Embleton. Embleton taking on Grimmer. Excellent cross, goal! Ross Stewart. Sunderland level. Neil. Now Gooch. Stewart making a good run ahead of him. And here is Ross Stewart. Can he get his foot to that? He can! And scores!
We were the better side this game, but we were bullied under the high ball as we had been in several games this season.
Patterson under pressure. The goal for St.
The second goal for Wycombe is here, and you can see in the replay that Hanlon on the goal line pins Patterson away from the ball with his arm and body and wrestles him out of the picture. It's the same for Wycombe's third goal as well, and it's something we had to get sorted.
To a 2-1 lead.
Towards the end of the game, Corey Evans was knocked unconscious. Horrifying memories of his skull injury 2 years earlier at Blackburn came to mind. Then, Evans had needed a 6-hour operation on his smashed skull. They'd had to cut him open from ear to ear across the top of his head and use 50 titanium screws to put his shattered skull back together. There was understandable panic to see him knocked unconscious in a collision again.
I thought it was outstanding.
Johnson was ecstatic with the way we played to get a draw.
There's just so much good philosophy today.
3 days later, an old player came back to haunt us with the visit of Lincoln City. An out-of-form Chris Maguire looked intent on making a statement on his return to the Stadium of Light. He could have been sent off for a challenge on Carl Winchester early on. Instead, it was Carl Winchester who ended the game red-carded. As Maguire went on to score a hat-trick and shoved his inspired performance right up Lee Johnson's nose. A touchline fracas at the end of the match would earn Johnson a red card, send him to the stands, and a 4-match ban. This was followed up by an away draw to Accrington Stanley, where O'Brien came off the bench to score a rather fortunate goal.
With the shot, oh, it's deflected in. What an impact he's made. Been on the field around 3 minutes.
Hey, is this the moment the smoke flares all started?
This game now, Sunderland will be happy to see it go as it is. That'll be a free kick. Now Sykes is the guilty party. He's already been booked, and he'll be booked again. The second red card of his career. The frustrating thing for him and for John Coleman likely to be that the first yellow card was entirely unnecessary. The second one sees the centre-back.
Accrington Stanley had a man sent off for a second bookable offence, but for the second time this season, we dropped points to 10 men late in the game.
He's around him, Clark doesn't, and Clark equalises. A remarkable counter-attack from Accrington Stanley. And with 10 men and 6 minutes of normal time to go, Accrington Stanley are level.
Somehow, we had taken only 2 points from the last 9. What was going wrong? We were top and smashing teams only a fortnight ago. Now, we couldn't buy a win. There's no way that we could afford another slump like we'd had in October-November if we wanted to keep any hopes of promotion. Mid-month, Frederick Alves was sent back to West Ham, having failed to impress with an attitude problem, and 18-year-old defender Ollie Younger went out on loan to Doncaster. All of this meaning that we were now extremely short of options in defence. So, much-needed reinforcements arrived from Stoke in the imposing figure of Danny Barth on the 18th.
I spoke to the manager throughout my career and he's followed me and tried to sign me in the past, so...
If that's the reason, he might try and sign you again in a few weeks, Danny. Patrick Roberts joined from Man City a few days later, and then we moved on to Portsmouth. Portsmouth arrived having not conceded in 6 away fixtures. The pressure was definitely telling as Johnson changed formation for the first time in months. Gone was 4-2-3-1, and in came Danny Barth for his debut. Corey Evans also returned after his knockout as we fielded a 3-4-3 formation. And we were better than the reverse fixture. Look at Djaku here, pressing the ball like we hadn't in the 4-0 defeat. It provided a chance.
But pressing hard here. They've got a chance here. It's cut towards goal and wide.
Here's another press being led by Djaku. On this occasion, it leads to a good chance for Elliot Embleton.
Can't seem to string any passes together at the moment. But this is better in terms of the pressing, and that's forced the error. Ronan Curtis, very poor indeed. Here comes Sunderland. And it's a really good stop from Bazunu. Clipped into the area, the goalkeeper's lost it again,
and the goal came from yet another press, again led by Djaku.
Portsmouth do like to play out from the back, but they're playing themselves into trouble here. And Sunderland have regained possession in a very dangerous position, and there is the opening goal.
All round, this was a better performance, but our defensive frailties and organisational problems were still present. From this corner, as the ball comes in, we can see once again that Doyle has lost his man and Bart is marking no one, and Gooch is left at the back post marking 2 people. This is exactly how we had conceded one of the goals at Portsmouth. On this occasion, Gooch does magnificently to clear the ball off the line under immense pressure. And here's another chance late on that shows exactly the same problem. Watch this Portsmouth runner. He goes straight across the front of the defenders. They can't not see him. But Sirkin gets left with 2 to mark and has to gamble on a decision. It could all have been so different. Nevertheless, the win left us joint top with Wigan on 54 points. Dan Neil collected his Young Player of the Month award and then showed us the club's new big TV and magic pens. I've got to get me one of them.
Yeah, some breaking news from me this Friday night.
As we entered the last week of the transfer window, we saw a flurry of activity. Josh Hawkes was sold to Tranmere, having not figured since his recall, and we signed Jack Clark on loan from Spurs. This was potentially a great signing, as almost half of our attack this season had so far come down the right-hand side. The rest split between the middle and the left. It had likely made us easy to defend against. Clark's arrival would help balance out our threat and create space elsewhere for us. Lee Burge was revealed as suffering a heart problem post-COVID infection, and this meant that Patterson's emergency loan cancellation now became permanent. On the 29th of January, Johnson returned to a 4-2-3-1 formation for the next game, an away trip to Bolton. Clark and Roberts made their debut today, and must have wondered what on earth they had done signing for us, as what followed was a total demolition of Sunderland. That word just isn't good enough to describe it. Wee Philly, help us out here, will you?
Wee Philly for SAFC Fan TV. We're outside the University at Bolton Stadium. It's Bolton 4, Sunderland 0. Somebody said it's just 5, we don't know. It's now Bolton 6, Sunderland 0. It's a disgrace, to be honest. Ben, what do you think?
We're fucking shit. We're fucking shit. We're fucking shit.
Tell us all about it. What's your name?
Thomas, we're shit.
Shit. Honest to God, terrible.
What do you think of that?
Shite.
What do you think of that then?
Absolutely shit, mate.
Never turned up, did we?
Did fucking shit.
No, fucking hell, it's fucking shit. All right.
I mean, just look at this goal. Do you know what? There's no point in doing any analysis.
I mean, where do we go from here then?
Sack the manager.
Sack the manager, really? One game?
One game?
Oh, wait, what's that? Oh.
One game.
Can that not just be a one-off?
No, I don't think so, because you've got to consider Rotherham away was 5-0. Portsmouth away was 4-0. Sheffield Wednesday away was 3-0.
The next day, Lee Johnson was sacked. The day after, O'Brien was gone. Averaging 1 goal in 6 for a striker just isn't good enough. Flanagan also departed. He had 6 months left on his contract, and there were no plans to renew. Hoffman would play only 1 more game for us. But now, we had a squad heavily dependent on youth and inexperience with almost no cover. Our season was falling apart, promotion hopes seemed blown open, and none of us knew quite what was going on. We were top 4 weeks ago. How did it get to this? Young midfielder Jay Matete was signed from Fleetwood Town later on the 31st, but not a lot was known about him. It's the hope I can't stand.
This is how we bring you Deadline Day.
But as February started, we were given hope in big dollops. Jermaine Defoe was back. Maybe promotion was back on, if he could score.
We've got a few minutes to talk about League One and all eyes on Sunderland today. Some bookies have now stopped taking bets on Roy Keane returning as manager.
Oh, yes, please. Box office. He saved us before, and he can again.
Linking you with the Sunderland job. Lots of speculation. Indeed, you've been there today. What can you tell us?
Yeah, what's happening? Well, I've got no control over that, so no comment.
But you would like to, I mean, much as you enjoy sitting here, you would like to get back into management, into coaching.
Yeah, I've made that clear over the last few years. I'd like to go back into as a manager, but of course, a club has to want you. You have to want to go to that club, and just as important, the contract's got to be right. So, listen, we'll see how things take shape over the next few days.
Yeah, we might be losing him.
Are we losing you? What's going on? You'd survive, Riley, wouldn't you? You survive without me?
I don't think I would.
A drawn-out appointment process took nearly 2 weeks, during which time a tame performance from timid staff saw us lose to bottom-of-the-table Doncaster. Bottom of the table. And they could have scored more. Here we are, struggling under a high ball once again. And there was too much hassle playing the Hoff. This was his last game for us. A week later, we travelled to Cheltenham Town, who were 4 points off the relegation zone. We got our first proper look at Jack Clarke tonight. He'd been used sparingly as a late substitute, but tonight he started. And much that was good flowed through him. A great prospect, it seemed. We took the lead early, but a worldie from them saw us fall apart in the second half, losing 2-1, and that meant that we now had 3 defeats in a row. Fan fury was rising. Our position was precarious. 4th, but only 4 points from being 8th, when that team in 8th had 2 games in hand on us. Disaster was looming if we didn't appoint a manager soon. And then...
Why exactly has the move collapsed for Keane?
Yeah, Haley, it's not the news the Sunderland supporters wanted to hear this morning, but that move for the Irishman to return to the club here after 14 years away broke down last night after Roy Keane decided it wasn't for him.
It's the hope I can't stand. Thin squad, lots of loans, no manager, 15 games left. It seemed like Sunderland had imploded again, and another season in League One beckoned. On February 11th, Alex Neil was appointed the new manager and took charge of our fixture against Wimbledon the next day with no preparation time. It was a poor game we never really looked like a threat in. We drew 1-1. Automatic promotion looked out. No one wanted to contemplate the lottery of the playoffs. Not in our current form. Alex Neil, though, did seem a refreshing change, making all the right noises.
What will you demand from the players as a bare minimum?
100%. So I think as a fan, what you least expect is that they leave every single thing on the pitch. I mean, particularly for a club like Sunderland with the backing that they'll get.
But a week later, little had perceptibly changed. We played MK Dons. They scored. We scored. Dajaku missed a relative sitter. And Matete gave the ball away for another former player, Connor Wickham, to punish us. And we lost again, dropping out of the playoff places to 7th. Neil was irritated post-match and had some blunt words and expectations.
We discussed it all week, not to play through central areas, don't play short passes, get the ball, move it from side to side, stretch their back five, get down the sides of them, and when we did that we looked a good team. When we played through central areas like we were told not to, it's cost us the game. So there was moments there, but we don't flood the box enough. Do you know what I mean? We're too busy dropping out and trying to make an extra 7 passes, so that's something we need to really try and cut out our game and be more, a little bit more pragmatic, but more progressive. We are passing, you know, and listen, I said to the players at half time, what you don't want to do you want to play a ball backwards here when we've got a chance to play forwards? Because you can hear the fans starting to groan about it. I'm frustrated by it. If you've got an opportunity to play forwards, play the ball forwards. You know?
Confidence looks a little low at the moment. I think you can maybe see that in our performance when things go against us. How do you go about rectifying that?
I wouldn't even necessarily say confidence is low. I just think that we don't react well to negativity. Do you know what I mean? In terms of us making bad decisions, a decision going against us, anything like that. Do you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, listen, we're in a big boys game. You need to grow up, you need to put your big boy pants on, get on with it, and you need to try and make sure that you affect the game in a positive manner.
What happened next was nothing short of a miracle. It started almost imperceptibly at first. Although we drew the next game at home to Burton Albion, it was clear that much was in the process of changing. Look at the defending here. 3 separate players throwing themselves in the way of the ball, doing everything in their power to stop a goal. This was a far cry from not moving from second balls away to Portsmouth in the rain. Look at this corner. Wright tells Doyle to mark the runner, and look at how he talks to everyone to keep them focused on the people in front of them. It isn't perfect, but it was a damn sight better organised than it had been. And at the other end, when we attacked up the sides, look how many Sunderland players flood the box, just like Neil had told us he wanted more of. And here, again, just as it looks like the ball is about to be crossed, the players flood the box. And chaos ensues for the defence. We're unlucky not to get anything from this. And it is creating this kind of pressure and giving ourselves more chances to score that resulted in the late goal. Look how many Sunderland players are in the box waiting for the ball. It doesn't come though, and they try to work it down the side again. Pritchard turns to bring it inside, complains there's no one to pass to, then remembers his instruction. Down the side, get in the box. And as the ball is crossed, look how many options we have to score. Next game, we crushed promotion candidates Wigan 3-0. Bang. Bang.
for Sunderland to...
Now, let's play Guess the Pen again. First one Roscoe put left. Where now?
Wrap up the 3 points. Stewart steps up once more. Same result.
As March opened, we played out a goalless draw to Charlton. We beat Fleetwood 3-0.
Great pass from him. And it's Clark. He's had a great game and he keeps on going. It's the goal of the game. Sunderland seal the points. And it's a first goal.
Then Crewe 2-0.
Sunderland perhaps looking to double the lead here and wrap things up. Clark rolls it across. Chance to make it 2. Fired home by Patrick Roberts. And Sunderland will take all 3 points.
And ended the month with a draw to Lincoln.
Good cross dug out, off the bar. Great save by Patterson. Brilliant goalkeeping.
At the end of the month, Ross Stewart got his first call-up to the senior Scotland squad. Benji Kimpioka was sold to Swedish side AIK Football. And Jermaine Defoe announced his retirement. It hadn't worked out coming back. He'd played only 6 games, some as a substitute, and failed to score. The problem was, it left us now short of cover up front. April, we really hit form, as everything started to come together.
I can feel the blood creeping up from the heathens. Got will, got fight, got pride, got reason. If they wanna go eat, then you know I'm gon' feed them. If you're coming for me, hope you're ready for a demon. I got eyes in the back of my head, I'm seeing. Take me for granted and you know I'm leaving. I'ma take what's mine with the webs I'm weaving. I could take this crowd from seeing to believing. Got a taste for blood and my tongue keeps bleeding. From the words I spit, so sharp, so freezing. So cold, behold, frostbite they feeling. I could tear you apart or I could go heal them. Don't believe in fate, don't believe in ceilings. I just need a taste and my mind starts peeling. I don't pace myself, I grind on kneeling. Got lust for change, I just love the feeling. No, I ain't gonna give up. Got too little time, I'ma live up. Head down, push forward through the tough times. Cause anything worth doing is a tough climb. I ain't gonna give up. Got too little time, I'ma live up. Head down, push forward through the tough times. Cause anything worth doing is a tough climb. Cause I'ma live life for the fight, yeah, I'm here to get it. I got drive, got sight, always have a vision. I go by at night, I be in my feelings. I'ma be fine, need time, and I'll soon be winning. I live life for the fight, yeah, I'm here to get it. I got drive, got sight, always have a vision. I go by at night, I be in my feelings. I'ma be fine, need time, and I'll soon be winning. I can feel the blood creeping up from the heathens. Got will, got fight, got pride, got reason. If they wanna go eat, then you know I'm gon' feed them. If they're coming for me, Clark initially slaloming his way through.
They go, looking for the opener. And they've got it!
We finished the last month of the season taking 17 points from a possible 21. Alex Neil had taken the team on a 13-match unbeaten run. Now, the playoffs.
This is what they've been playing for.
Languishing in the 3rd tier of English football. 46 games down. Potentially 3.
A crowd of 44,000 turned up to meet the first leg, as intimidating as possible for the visitors.
Into added time at the end of the first half. And there'll be 1 additional minute. Towards Berahino. Wright's got his head to the ball.
And a tight first half, finished with a swift counter-attack and the pace of Stewart earning him a chance for Sunderland to take the lead.
Hutchinson unable to get anything onto it. Peacock Farrell saving the initial effort.
Alex Neil's Jedi powers helped tuck the ball away at the second attempt.
But Stewart able to slot in when it came back his way. Hasn't really had a great run in front of goal, Ross Stewart. A goal of epic proportion. Seized upon that, and Sunderland have the advantage.
The second half saw the game open up and more chances fell our way. Pritchard hit the bar.
Pritchard off the bar. That would have been a quite brilliant second goal.
Roberts hassled and harried and Pritch went close again.
Roberts has kept it in. Still Roberts. Pritchard!
Sirkin spurned a golden chance.
It's Bartella! And it should have been two. Over by Sirkin.
And Stewart, late on, earned another almost identical chance to his goal on the counter-attack.
Bashiro just on. High and long. Stewart after it. Oh, foul with the error. Can Stewart pounce again?
But this time, missed. We finished with a slender lead of 1-0 and headed for Hillsborough for the second leg.
So here they come. No matter how much experience you've got, this will still affect you. That narrow Hillsborough tunnel, and they come out into this.
Another tight first half ensued, but in the second we saw the game get stretched. The chances came for both teams.
Clark just wants to run at them here, Jack Clark, and he's going to keep running at them. What a run this is from Clark. In the end, he plays the pass, and Roberts. Byers. That's Bennett, great quality on the ball in, and somehow it bounces behind. Windass again. Oh, and that's a really
A clash of heads added 10 minutes extra time to the match.
header, and
then
Bannon. Oh, what a pass that is. This is the moment from Bannon. The little look up. And Gregory was there.
Wednesday scored. Hillsborough erupted, and the game was anyone's.
Suddenly there's belief at Hillsborough.
But in the 7th minute of injury time, Clark and Roberts combined to throw us into the playoff final.
Clark. Going to take them on here. Clark! Picks out the perfect cross! Of course for Wednesday, but watch Neil here.
Watching Neil celebrate and seeing how much it meant to Gooch and Wright was great to see. We had a team who would fight for us till the end.
Come on! Gets in there.
After all those times and all that disappointment, we were back at Wembley. But this time, we weren't on a losing streak. We'd won the Papa John's Trophy the year before, and despite everyone I knew telling me they wouldn't go again, we all did. Neil had found a balanced team, and we were unbeaten in the last 15. The day of the game, we heard the news that Embleton was starting in place of Clark. It was a surprise, given how impressive Clark had been in the semi-final. But Neil had done his homework. When we played Wickham at the start of the year, Embo had caused them untold problems. He tucks into the centre more than a traditional winger, and receiving the ball, he had the run of the midfield last time we played them. Neil was banking on something similar again. And he was right.
Space opened up here by Hamilton, roared forward by the Sunderland fans, and scores! Elliot Hamilton! And you have to say it's a fully deserved opening goal. It's been a brilliant start. And just look at the reaction at that end of Wembley. Picks it up inside his own half, drives at the Wycombe defence, and it had action on it.
Wycombe had their chances after this, but Patterson stood firm.
Important save by Patterson for the relief of Bailey Wright, who completely missed.
Then Ross Stewart, our talisman scorer of the season, knocked a second with 10 minutes left to play. We knew we were going up.
Roberts finding Pritchard. Ross Stewart, yes! And surely that's the goal that will end Sunderland's agony in League One. And it just had to be the man they call the lock. Work between Roberts and Pritchard, fed into Stewart. One touch, second touch, and Anthony Stewart doesn't get tight enough. It's poor defending. And Ross Stewart said thank you, and I'll find the corner of the net. Breathing space for Sunderland. 46,000 Sunderland fans going wild here at Wembley.
Wycombe were forced to chase the game, and that left chances for us to get a third.
Chance to get the shot away! It's calm possession football from Sunderland. They could have just booted it long there. Clark, can he find a way through here? Jack Clark!
And as time drew up, the players could sense the moment was theirs.
Strong challenge. Felt like the goal to Luke O'Nien, that tackle. Sunderland return to the Championship. 3 months after walking through the door at the Stadium of Light. Full credit to Alex Neil and his staff for the job that they've done. These players who've not tasted defeat since February played to a game plan. The game plan has worked. Only one defeat in 18 games. Wow, says Peter Reid, the former Sunderland manager. It's a fully deserved victory.
Alex Neil had taken Sunderland on a 16-game unbeaten run, and during that time we had conceded only 8 goals. It was this improved defensive stability and a much more balanced team that had delivered us here from near disaster in January. But it was never in doubt, was it?